Today's stream has been relatively combative. Can we laugh at Dave Rubin for a few minutes? Instead of laughing at Dave Rubin, why don't we celebrate the greatest man in our government?
The motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection to the modification?
Object.
Objection is heard.
Hey, McConnell.
Is there objection to the original request? The senator from Vermont.
Thank you, Madam President. Reserving the right to object. We should all be very, very clear.
Oh shit, Bernie coming in with the steel chair. Dude, for those of you who don't know, Bernie Sanders is filibustering to prevent the rejection of the $2,000 amendment to the stimulus bill. He's going to hold it up for as long as he can, which I think is until, guys, do you remember the time? Is it January 1st? How long can he hold it? Yeah, McConnell is, that's not what he's feeling. January 3rd? Because that's the new Congress session. Yeah, he's holding it down. Holding it down. Listen.
The working class of this country today faces more economic desperation than at any time since the Great Depression of the 1930s.
No, that doesn't mean he's going to talk for 4 days straight. That's not how it works.
And working families need help now. Not next year, but right.
Oh, my apologies. He's filibustering the veto override vote on the defense bill to force a vote on 2000. So essentially, they're trying to get the defense bill put through now, but he's trying to hold it down until they can force a vote on the 2000. My apologies for the misinformation. The point is that he is holding himself the fuck up so the rest of us can get $2,000, except for me. I'm pretty sure there's some means testing to that 2000. I don't think I'll be getting it. But you guys, most of you guys, will be getting it. And maybe you'll even donate some to me. Well, assuming the 2000 goes through.
Now, last night, the House of Representatives, with a 2/3 majority, 275 to 134, 2/3 bipartisan vote, moved to increase the direct payment going to working families from $600 per adult to $2,000 per adult. The House did the right thing. I congratulate them. And now it is time for the Senate to step up to the plate and do what the working families of this country overwhelmingly want us to do. Madam President, as a result of the pandemic, tens of millions of Americans have lost their jobs and their incomes. These families in the middle of the winter now face the threat of eviction and the possibility of being thrown out in the streets.
Right now, I'm pretty sure like 40% of Americans who rent are facing eviction. Like once their provisions let up or come another month or come the end of the generosity of their landlord, they face eviction. We're talking about tens of millions of Americans who are threatened with eviction right now. This is an unprecedented threat to the people of our country. And the people in power are doing absolutely, I'm sorry, I want to be more specific. Mitch McConnell is specifically preventing, very, very, very specifically preventing anything meaningful from taking place here. It is impossible to describe how much human suffering could be alleviated through this $2,000 stimulus. Trump wants it. Democrats want it. Republicans want it. Mitch McConnell doesn't want it. This one fucking cuck boy, this one little turtle bitch boy, is holding up a country of 1/3 of a billion people and condemning God knows how many people to perpetual poverty, to homelessness, and possibly even to starvation. How does Mitch McConnell have so much power in the U.S. Congress? Because he's the Senate Majority Leader, and he is an exceptionally evil person, and for that reason, he does not allow the Senate to vote on bills he does not want voted on. Some genius thought it was a great idea that the Senate Majority Leader, as with the House Majority Leader, should be able to determine what people vote on. Don't know why. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, not a scholar. Don't know why that was a great idea. Maybe somebody has a good explanation. I don't get it personally. But it does afford him, essentially, infinite power with regards to his ability to prevent people from voting on these provisions.
Hunger in America is at the highest level that it has been for decades, with moms and dads struggling to feed their kids and working families lining up mile after mile to get emergency food packages. We are even seeing an increase in grocery store shoplifting as desperate Americans try to keep their families from going hungry. All of this.
You know what the most shoplifted food item is? Baby food. That's the most shoplifted food item. Baby food. Or baby formula. Sorry.
Taking place in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Madam President, over the last number of years, as I think everybody in America knows, Congress has provided massive tax breaks for the very wealthiest people in our country, which is one of the reasons why today we have more income and wealth inequality than any time since the 1920s. In fact, in the midst of this pandemic, this terrible pandemic, inequality has grown worse, with many in the billionaire class seeing their wealth increase.
Yeah, it's crazy. Elon Musk went from being worth 30 billion, and now he's worth like 140. Like his in the course of 1 year, he got like $100 billion. Just such an insane explosion of wealth over the course of the pandemic. Wait, actually, how much? Wait, hold on. How much is? So. That's 100 billion. And then we divide that by how many people in America would get these? You're not getting youth these. So let's say 250 million. Hey, you could give $400 to every single person. That's a nice clean 400 right there.
Increase by hundreds of billions of dollars while average Americans struggle to put food on the table.
Just from one guy.
Congress has given huge tax breaks to large corporations so that some of the most profitable and largest corporations in America today pay zero in federal income taxes. We have just passed the largest military budget in the history of our country, $740 billion, more than the next 10 nations combined. And by the way, there was almost no debate about the size of that huge budget. Trump's veto dealt with other issues. Meanwhile, over 500,000 Americans are homeless. Half of our working families are struggling to survive paycheck to paycheck. And in the midst of this terrible, unprecedented pandemic, over 90 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured in the midst of a pandemic, and they're not sure whether they can afford to go to a doctor. Madam President, we are coming to the close of one of the most terrible and painful years in American history. That is a tragic fact. Over 330,000 of our people have died from COVID-19, and as we speak, we are seeing record-breaking numbers of new cases, and hospitals around the country being overwhelmed with new admissions. During the last year, the education and well-being of tens of millions of our young people, from childcare to graduate school, has been disrupted. And the terrible emotional isolation that this pandemic has caused, where people are unable to spend time with their family or their friends, has resulted in a huge increase in mental illness, drug addiction, and even suicide. Madam President, as I mentioned, the House has done the right thing. By an overwhelming vote, Democrats and Republicans voted to increase that $600 direct payment to $2,000. Recent poll came out. 78% of the American people think that was the right decision. They're hurting. They want help. The leaders of our country, President Trump, President-elect Biden, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, are all in agreement. We have got to raise that direct payment to $2,000.
I understand that many Democrats think Bernie Sanders is too radical. I feel many of these beliefs are aesthetic because he postures radical and because Biden postures moderate. But if somebody like Biden, or let's say the entirety of the Democratic Party, spoke the way Bernie did, the Republican Party would be irrelevant. I genuinely believe that. Even if Bernie Sanders on his own cannot single-handedly turn the tide of this broken fucking party, if every single person in the Democratic Party mirrored, not perfectly, let's not be creepy about it, but emulated his mannerisms and his drive and his commitment to human dignity, I genuinely think the Republican Party would be fucking irrelevant. I really do. Does everyone remember when Bernie Sanders went to that Fox News town hall and just killed it? You remember that? He went out there and he just fielded that shit like a fucking king. Like a king! Biden couldn't have done that. Although I do think Biden sometimes does a decent job responding to questions. He's more ponderous than Trump, certainly. But Bernie Sanders isn't loved because he is ponderous. Bernie Sanders is loved because he is passionate. That is what the American people want. They want politicians who make the blood pump in their veins again. That's why Republicans are so behind Trump, because as much of a doddering, insane fucking moron as he is nothing else, invigorating to the people who like the things that he does. And Bernie Sanders is that to us. This is the joy of populism. But you don't even need to go full fucking independent anti-DNC to adopt some of these metrics. All it takes is a firm commitment to the plight of working people to look good in any town hall across the country. Any town hall across the country. And if every Democrat was able to emulate that energy, my God, we would have a much easier time selling socialism to this country. I'll tell you that much. Definitely. Vosh Obama, to an extent, did that. No, I reject this. This is what people said about Pete Buttigieg as well. Obama was a phenomenal speaker, maybe one of the best in American history. Very, very talented man. But he talked about ideas. Bernie Sanders talks about material conditions. It's so easy when you think about it to see that line between liberalism and socialism delineated between the perspectives of these two. When Obama talked, he would talk about the soul of the American people and the American dream and so on, and that's great. But when Bernie Sanders talks, he really doesn't talk about that much. He doesn't really talk that much, to be honest with you, about ideology. He doesn't morally load many of the things that he says. He talks cleanly and concisely, about healthcare and poverty and homelessness and starvation and what the people can do for the government, what the government can do for the people. And that's a very big difference. Obama was a great speaker, and I'm not going to lie, back when he was president, I wasn't slick enough to see through him, at least not until the last couple of years. But when he spoke most passionately what were you really happy about? Were you happy because there was a president up there who finally understood what you, the common man, needed? Or were you happy because he sounded like such a strong, professional, well put together political figure? In my mind, it was mostly the latter. People liked his competence. They liked his verbosity, his coherence after George W. But Bernie Sanders is not like an especially talented public speaker. He comes off like a cranky grandpa. He does come off as one. It's the things he says that matters.
So that is where we are right now in this historic moment. Do we turn our backs on struggling working families, or do we respond to their pain? So, Madam President, would the senator modify his request that immediately following the vote on the veto override, the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 9051, that the bill be considered read a third time, and the Senate vote on passage of the bill?
Bernie Sanders is currently leading, he is at the forefront of the movement for progressives in this country to get you motherfuckers $2,000. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how effective it's going to be. I really don't. Mitch McConnell, more like bitch McConnell, is a cringe lord. Real big cringe poster. Not good, people. Not good. And I don't know how much can meaningfully be done here, but it means a lot to me that he tries. It really does. I don't know how many years he's got left in him, you know? I mean, we might have to hold a special election for his district sometime in the near future. We genuinely don't know. But I think we're very lucky to have had him while we did. My only wish is that myself and many other Americans could have appreciated him more before 2015. Because I know a lot of you people did not know who the fuck this senator from Vermont was until he ran for president as a Democrat.